Imagine standing in front of a massive Japanese festival crowd, performing a song in a language they may not completely understand, and then, right in the middle of that performance, changing just one line. That is exactly what made this moment from SB19's Summer Sonic performance so interesting. Because Chua did something that looked incredibly small at first. He changed the lyric Ayokong mamatay into the Japanese word Shinitakunai. And that single word may have completely changed how the audience experienced the song. Let's break down why. Ayokong mamatay is a powerful Filipino expression. It means essentially, I don't want to die. Now imagine hearing that lyric as part of an emotional performance when you don't speak Filipino. You can still feel the music. You can see the emotion on the performers' faces. You can understand the energy of the performance. But there is still a language barrier. You are experiencing the emotion without necessarily having direct access to every word. Then Ken changes the lyric. Instead of singing the Filipino phrase, he delivers the Japanese Shinitakunai. The meaning remains essentially the same. But suddenly the Japanese audience doesn't have to translate the emotion in their heads. They understand it immediately. And that is what makes this moment so powerful. It wasn't simply Ken showing that he knew a Japanese word. It was a form of communication. He was essentially taking an emotional idea from the original song and delivering it in the language of the people standing directly in front of him. And that can create a completely different relationship between performer and audience. Because when an artist performs internationally, there is always a certain distance. The artist comes from one country, the audience comes from another, different languages, different cultures, different experiences. But moments like this can suddenly shrink that distance. For those few seconds, the Japanese audience didn't have to wonder what the lyric meant. They could hear a word from their own language coming from an artist standing on that stage. And that's important because live music isn't only about sound, it's also about recognition. When an audience suddenly recognizes their own language inside a performance from an international artist, there can be an immediate feeling of, wait, this was meant for us. That is the difference between simply performing in another country and actually connecting with the people in that country. And this is where Ken's decision becomes much more interesting, because it wasn't a complete rewrite of the song. It wasn't some massive production change. It was one small lyric alteration, but sometimes the smallest decisions create the biggest memories. Think about it. A concert can have incredible lighting, massive screens, choreography, fireworks, and thousands of people in the crowd. Those things are spectacular. But years later, what does a fan remember? Sometimes it's one sentence, one gesture, one unexpected interaction, one moment when an artist made them feel seen. And that is exactly why this Japanese lyric stands out. Ken essentially took something vulnerable from the original song and expressed that same vulnerability in a language the audience could immediately recognize. That makes the moment feel more personal. It's almost like saying, I may be Filipino and you may be Japanese, but for this moment, you understand exactly what I'm saying. And that's one of the most powerful things music can do. It can cross borders without losing its original identity. SB19 didn't need to stop being Filipino to connect with Japan. Ken didn't need to abandon the original lyric. Instead, he found a bridge between the two cultures. And that is an important distinction. Globalization in music isn't necessarily about making everything sound the same. It's about bringing your identity somewhere new while finding ways for the people there to participate in the experience. That is what makes this moment particularly meaningful for SB19's international journey. Because the group isn't simply trying to make Filipino music heard outside the Philippines. They're creating moments where international audiences can actually feel included in the performance. And sometimes that inclusion can come from just one word, Shinitakunai, a Japanese word carrying the same emotional idea as the Filipino lyric. A tiny change, but potentially a huge connection. And if the crowd reacted strongly in that moment, it becomes easy to understand why. They weren't simply hearing SB19 perform, For a brief moment, they were hearing SB19 speak directly to them. And that's the kind of detail that can turn an international performance into a memorable one. Because ultimately, global music isn't just about how many countries an artist can perform in. It's about how many people can look at that stage and feel, they understand us. And at Summer Sonic, Ken may have achieved exactly that with just one Japanese word. So what do you think, Aiton? Was changing that one lyric a small detail? Or was it actually one of the smartest moments of SB19's Japanese performance? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories breaking down the small moments behind SB19's biggest international performances, make sure you're subscribed to Starwave.